What's up, EDG family? I'm Kevin, and today I'm going to be talking about Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. This is a game by Chip Theory Games. It just launched on GameFound. I'm super excited to talk about it. I think most of us, if you're probably watching this preview, have known about it for a while. It's something I think they were looking to launch later last year, and it didn't happen. I know they cite a lot of just I wouldn't say complications, but more just less a new process having to get things approved by Bethesda. But I will say before we jump into this preview, I have never played Elder Scrolls. I am a huge fan of Chip Theory's other games: Too Many Bones, Cloud Spire, Burn Cycle. I have not played Hoplomachus. I did Back 20 Strong, so I have a huge fandom, whatever you want to call it, for everything Chip Theory does so far. At least what I've played. So I'm definitely excited. I've watched as much content as I possibly could trying to prepare for this preview. So hopefully that shows. But I am going to go ahead and launch the page, and we'll get to it. All right, so I got the page up, and the first you're going to see is we have hit a huge landmark. They're over 1,500,000 in funding right now. This game funded in under 2.5 minutes, I believe. I'm assuming it's doing as good as they possibly could have expected. I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit 2 million. I think that's kind of where we're at with this at this point. But like I said, never really played the Elder Scrolls games. I played a ton of video games growing up, first-person shooters, RTSs, adventure games, FIFA. But never got into Elder Scrolls. But I do know this is a big game. I completely respect this IP, not ever playing it as a board gamer, and I'm excited to see what Chip Theory is doing with it. So, I will tell you, we'll get to stretch goals, but they have unlocked a ton of stuff so far. So the first thing I want to talk about is they have a ton of languages for this game. That is probably the most languages they've offered for at least any first run game, I'm guessing. That is definitely something they were trying to do. And we get a little overview of the box, some of the components. So if you're familiar with Chip Theory, they use a lot of neoprene poker chips, and this game's got dice in it. So we'll keep looking at this. Yeah, they got some. I like what they're doing with the mats, but we'll get back to it. I'm just going to kind of go through this little overview of content. And another big thing for this campaign is free shipping. Free shipping on everything, and we're talking the entire catalog once it goes to the Pledge Manager. I don't think they even have any add-ons that aren't Elder Scrolls related right now. But yeah, that's a huge deal. Free shipping, especially 2023. There is a little bit of context. I'm going to skip over that. I do want to read a little bit of this because it's going to tell us about the game. So if you're listening and you're not necessarily watching, The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era is a strategy game of combat, character building from 1 to 4 players by Chip Theory Games, set in the world of Nim. In campaign-based play, players will develop their characters and adventure through the provinces of, I think it's Tamriel, completing quests and revealing new mysteries as they seek to uncover the plot of the hidden antagonist. Betrayal of the Second Era is a perfect marriage of the values of Chip Theory and Elder Scrolls franchise, featuring the commitment to the world building and character customization that fans love about Elder Scrolls, and the component quality and deep strategic thinking Chip Theory is known for. Betrayal of the Second Era is an exciting new foray into the land of Tamriel. Okay, so quick, why to back now? Obviously, you're backing now. You get active in the comments. You could influence the game a little bit. I'm guessing there's a lot of stuff you're probably not, but they do tend to listen to the customers. Lock in your copy. I will say right now, look at Burn Cycle. A lot of people did not get Burn Cycle. I was fortunate to get a copy of Burn Cycle. I didn't back it. I was very lucky to get it before they ran out. Assuming a second print run on this quickly. I don't know. I know they have a lot of extra development in more content coming, but I don't know when that would be. So if you don't back now, you might not get a copy for a little bit. And then they're talking take advantage on bundle pricing. What they're saying is there are discounted just by getting these huge bundles for this game. There's gameplay content and there's a ton of add-ons. We'll get to that, but you can take advantage of that. And it's not necessarily listed in there, but I would say free shipping. Free shipping. That's huge. Chip Theory games are not light in either way, however you want to take that. So in the box, there's a ton of the components. I don't necessarily want to get too heavy into that, but I do want to say I think there's probably more dice in this game. I mean, there's just a ton of, as I say, 108 dice. And that's just skill and attack dice. They have more dice than just that in this game. They got these fatigue dice too. So I think they probably have more dice in this game than I've seen in any other Chip Theory game. That's crazy. There's four player mats, and then you're gonna have your races, your classes. I will put this out here. Your race chips, it's listing them as 20 double-sided. This was something cool I didn't learn until this morning. So you're gonna have classes, you're gonna have races. That's kind of how you're gonna start to develop your character. But what they're doing is they're actually giving you 2 of each with alternate artwork as far as the races go. So you and your buddy want to play the exact same character, you can do that. That's very cool. And then same with the classes, 2 multiple players can play with the same class. There's a ton of them. So I don't necessarily know why you would overlap, but you could, and that wouldn't be a problem. And then just a ton of cards, a ton of chips, a lot of neoprene. If you're familiar with Cloudspire, that's pretty much what the hexes look like in Cloudspire. I don't think they quite have one cut to the bottom too, but very, very cool. And that's kind of going to simulate your different combat spaces. Those are stat tokens, pegs, more cards, more chips. I don't know if we saw it. There's going to be these large, kind of like I don't want to call them overworld maps, but each province has their own map to explore on like a higher level. That kind of is when you're going to move through that. It's going to like trigger, your different side quests, your adventures. You're going to delve into, like dungeons and get loot and take baddies down. And then just, a little notepad. I noticed when I was watching the playthrough earlier that there was a lot of reading out of a book. So I think each province has their own kind of book that you go to when you're playing in that region. And then you have draw bags. So you are actually going to be randomly drawing the baddies. They have it's reminiscent of kind of what they did with Too Many Bones. But they have double-sided chips. You basically have a 1, 5, 10, and a 20. 10 and 20s are on the back of each other. 1 and 5s are on the back of each other. And you're basically drawing them. So whatever you get, you're going to be drawing out a specific bag when you're kind of making... I don't want to call it your battle queue. I thought that was funny. They were very tediously not trying to reference Too Many Bones. And I will tell you, I mean, there is, like I said, some comparisons. But the more I've learned about this game, there's a lot of things that this game does that you don't do in Too Many Bones. I mean, you'd be almost making a bigger comparison, like making like your adventure mat compared to like your overview mat. Yeah, it's kind of like you're tracking, you're trying to make progress, but it's more interactive. So I wouldn't definitely make that comparison. I think the artwork they have so much art in this game. It's crazy. It's crazy not to see a lot of the cards that don't have art yet, because I think there's a lot of it coming. It's going to be a very beautiful game. But this is what I was talking about, races. So they have, I think, 10 different races in this, and I'm not going to read through all this, but you got Argonian High Elf, you're going to have Dark Elf, Wood Elf, Orc, I do not know how to pronounce that, and if I'm butchering any of these names from Elder Scrolls, and you're an Elder Scrolls fan, I apologize. Khajiit, I don't know, but I do like how that character looks. Kind of reminds me of like some Twilight Imperium, different animals being, humanoids almost. And then you also got Imperial, Breton, Redguard, and Nord. So like I said, those are all going to be double-sided. You're going to have a male and female side, and then you're also going to have an extra one with alternate art. So I thought that was very awesome, very awesome. More art, speaking of which. That's what I'm saying. And then you got regions. I believe there's 5 regions in the base game, and then there is an expansion that adds another region. You got Black Marsh, High Rock, Kyrodil, I think that's is that. Yep, that's 5. So very, very cool. And that's going to have a lot to do with when you're adventuring. I think, like I said, there's going to be completely different books. They're going to give you completely different quests. I don't necessarily know if those are what determine the quests as much as the guilds, but like I said, there's a ton of just intermixing and RNG that are going to make each one of these play experiences a little different. You don't even, like I said, you don't even have to stay in a specific region. You can actually switch regions between plays, and that's definitely gonna change some stuff up. But you got guilds, the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Thieves Guild, and then we also have the Dark Brotherhood. I don't know if that's Psych Order or Psychic Order, unsure. And then the Undaunted. So, and I do know one of the stretch goals is gonna add another one. So it's just a ton of stuff. And then you're gonna have skill lines and classes, just more ways to really define your character and really build it out. That's just something. I mean, if you look at like the characters in Too Many Bones, I mean, you have characters. There's completely different ways to build them out depending on your play style. But I mean, this is looking. I don't want to say endless, but race, class, intermixing your skill lines, and we'll talk about the skill lines a little bit more in detail. But yeah, like aerobatics, bow, Daedric summoning, destruction staff, heavy armor. These are just going to be basically like your skill dice that you're going to be adding to your mat. One hand and shield. I saw that one earlier on a playthrough. Restoring light and shadow, speech, and two-handed. And then it's going to have just a reference card that's going to tell you at what level. I believe that's in levels. You're going to be able to do specific things with those dice. More really cool art. And then classes. This is where you're going to get like your acrobat, your archer, your dragon knight, your healer, your necromancer, nightblade, scout, sorcerer, templar, warden. I mean, these are just going to give you more asymmetrical abilities. So I'm saying there's a lot of ways to build your character, and it's very exciting to be able to, go through, and it's not even just like you're going to be like, hey, I've already played this one, but you can play it with a different race, you can play it with a different skill set, you can even, inside that, there's all kinds of ways to affect your build. That's kind of what this is talk about, character building, and I'm hoping this is going to show, that shows, I believe that's the main, it's building. I believe it's going to show the mats here in a second, but this is something that I think is probably the most exciting thing for me about this game is, you've seen these awesome player mats that Chip Theory's done in the past to track your stats, hold your skill dice, and they've really just taken it to a whole nother level. I mean, up top you have active slots. Those are things that are going to be active abilities that are going to be triggered depending on what they do, but I know like a lot of it would be like, if you take damage, that could trigger it, depending on what dice you have in there. And then when you're building, I mean, each one of these mats has little mini chips, poker chips, and you're gonna set those in your player mat, and you get to pick where they go, and you get to pick what's on the other side, and that's kind of gonna affect what you can min max. You kind of have this little, if maybe you're gonna get a skill dice that you have played with before, and you're not gonna max it out, and you want a lot of health, you might put that across from it so you can be able to build your health up a little bit more. But that's gonna be like I think they call one of the stats is basically stamina. You have your health. It's not really zoomed in enough, but you're going to have basically your 4 basic stats, and then you're going to be able to slot in your skill dice on the other side. And then underneath it, you have this really cool cooldown track that you are able to, another stat ability. You're able to spend experience points, and that is going to kind of allow you to almost like refresh dice and pull fatigue dice out of there quicker and get your dice back into play. I guess my comparison would be like if you played Too Many Bones, roll your attack dice, whichever ones you rolled, you didn't get back right away, and they had to go through this cooldown track. But I do think it is a really cool concept, and I'm excited to see how it works. More art, so much art. But here's combat. Oh, here's a better look at your map. The other thing is there's different fighting stances, and I believe I don't know if it's necessarily skills or abilities, but you got to be in maybe specific range stance or more of a melee stance when you're doing that. just a whole nother way to fight. It's crazy. And I'm looking. Okay, so this is what I've noticed when you're playing kind of in your overworld, and you're gonna, I say overworld, but like this overmap of your region, and you're gonna have, I believe they called this clash. Yeah, it's your clash mat, and it's basically just kind of like your generic. You got to go fight enemies. You're gonna get maybe some loot options, and that's gonna be like pretty much the most basic combat you're gonna do. The next one is gonna be like delving, and you're actually going to be building. I don't think it does it really show it. Yeah, it kind of shows it here. You're basically going to be building your map out with cards as you go, and you're going to explore. You're going to trigger. They made it sound like you could just sit there and keep spawning enemies as you keep going. You could run past them, but they added kind of a, what they call it, like a quick escape. If you're not targetable, basically on that turn, you're able to get out of there. Fast. What do they call it? Fast travel almost. Thought that was a cool concept to be able to pull from a video game. And then the other part is going to be dungeons, and they're basically going to be, I think each region will have like their own major dungeon, and it'll be a pre-built thing, so obviously balanced with, I believe you'll probably might have some RNG with like the enemies you're going to bring into it, but as far as the layout, I'm pretty sure it's standard, but they did make it sound like there's a lot of things that could affect how it played every time. And then you got campaign play, and basically what they're talking about there is this game is going to be divided into basically like a 3-part campaign. They made it sound like the first 2 parts were probably going to be the thicker, the longer one, and then like that third part that we're talking about, the dungeon, is going to be more focused on that. So it'd almost be kind of like if you took the tyrant battle aspect out of Too Many Bones, and that was the third part. So it's going to be a little shorter, and they're talking about being able to save your mats in between plays, being able to put them back in. I know there's a stretch goal, and we'll get there, that's talking about upgrading whatever device or trays or whatever they're going to use to hold your mat to keep exactly where you're at between plays. What do we got? Replayability, like I said, talks about that. You got different guilds, you got different side quests, you have all kinds of encounter cards. You got all kinds of RNG with what you're drawing. If that's not enough, just the character building alone, so much replayability right there. And then they have an expansion. So if there's not enough content, they have an expansion, and it's basically adding a new area. They're adding more cards, more. They're adding 2 new skill sets and 2 new classes as well. So just more content that's going to affect the base game. You don't even have to go into Vollenwood, I don't think. That is what it's called. You'll get a lot of that stuff, and it'll just cross over. You could mix a lot of that stuff in from the get-go. Just kind of showing off some of the items. I did notice there's like a lock-picking thing that, reminds me of another game. But the cool thing about that is I thought it was scaled down. It was very easy to figure out how to play it. Shipping, like I said, shipping it's free. So here we go. We're getting down to the pledges now. Your base game is $195 US. That is probably, I say probably, that's the most expensive core game Chip Theory's ever put out, as far as I know, by about $45. I don't know what the bones price, the basic game of Too Many Bones is at right now, but I'd say it's about $45 more than any game I've seen on Chip Theory's website. But there's a ton of content in there. It's ridiculous, and you know that it's gonna be great when you get it out. They got a retailer pledge, and then they got the gameplay bundle, which is kind of where I'm sitting at right now. It's got that extra expansion in there, so I think it's basically saving you like $10 if you bundle now. And you're also getting free shipping, so put that in there. I don't know if this is kind of inflated. I was thinking about that. I don't know if this price is inflated a little bit to kind of absorb some of that shipping cost. But even if it is, I mean, if you're looking at even what they did on a couple campaigns ago, like $15 flat rate, and you discounted it, it definitely seems a lot more reasonable when you think of it that way too. And then they have an all-in bundle, which is basically gonna be your gameplay. It looks like they got some dice trays and some chips, some premium chips, a art book, and then I think the big thing for me that I might add on, depending on how much drawing you're doing, I did add the drawback to burn cycle on my my new recruits pledge, so that might be something to be interested in if you're doing a lot of drawing. But yeah, they got those add on for $40 for the drawbacks. Oh, a premium playmat in there, that's $60. And yeah, that's pretty much all the add-ons they have right now. But like I said, Pledge Manager, they said they would open it up and it would be pretty much the entire Chip Theory catalog. So we're looking at stretch goals. They are killing it on stretch goals. Got a ton of stuff, ton of upgrades. We're talking more encounter cards, more items, more baddies. I say baddies, enemy chips. But the last thing that they unlocked that was pretty cool was this little magnetic tracker for, I believe it, if you think about it, like, these chips would normally sit on a card and you would turn them to track. These are going to be on little magnets. Helps you track your day, your experience, I believe is what the other one is. And then there's a D6 in there. But they've added some really cool stuff. I think one of the coolest ones on here that they haven't hit yet is going to be that upgraded storage. There you go over that up right there. Upgraded storage solution. And that's kind of when they were talking about almost making each mat like storable separately instead of just like stacking them in the box to keep them between plays. So that'd be an interesting addition. But yeah, they've added so much more stuff. I know that a lot of this components listed kind of matches up with some of the stuff that's been unlocked, but I don't know. They're probably gonna run out of stretch goals. Is what I'm kind of thinking. I was gonna mention this one. That's something. I don't think that's the one. The 2 million stretch goal. It's on here, right? I'm pretty sure it's on here. I saw it earlier. It's gonna be a. It's a whole nother guild, I believe. It's like the Queen's Guild. So that is even more variety and even more options to play. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. They are offering a stretch pay, which I think is a GameFound exclusive way to pay for your game. You'll basically have it paid off before you get it, because I think it's 10 payments. And the date on this is, I want to say they said September 2024. I want to say that's what they put on here. I'm going to scroll back up, go through this. They do have they did do a Q&A this morning. They did a live stream, kind of how to play. It was pretty slow, but it definitely good information in there. I think that's pretty much the first full playthrough video that Chip Theory has released, but I would expect this next couple weeks before this, specifically before this campaign closes, that they'll release. I know a lot of people did some previews, and they'll have more content on this game. I don't exactly know what I'm scrolling up to show you, but I'm super excited about this game. I believe April, it's still got 24 days on the campaign, so there is a lot. I'm going to go back up to that tracker. There we go. So yeah, they get a lot more time on this. I would expect a ton more stretch goals. I am super excited about this. I'm definitely probably going gameplay all in. Like I said, maybe grab some bags. We'll see. I believe I'll probably be able to decide that after my burn cycle pledge comes in. So I'll know if it's one of those quality of life things I just have to have. Yeah. Elder Scrolls. So like I said, haven't ever played Elder Scrolls, but I am super excited about this IP coming to the tabletop. Chip Theory does great games, so they have an awesome IP to work with, and I'm super excited about this. I know this is like 16 months or so away, but I cannot be more excited for this game to come out. But let me know if you're an Elder Scrolls fan, you found the video, you found the channel. How do you feel about this IP? I know this isn't the first time. I think there's Skyrim, the board game. There's other games, but this company's special. So I will say this will be definitely a different experience than you've probably seen in a board game form. Knowing what I know, what they have done with their previous games, I'm super excited about that. But as a Chip Theory fan, anybody that's played a ton of Chip Theory games, maybe doesn't know a whole lot of Elder Scrolls. Where are you at on this? I mean, this is a very costly game, the most expensive game they've ever done. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it does seem like there's way more content. I don't want to say way more content, but I want to say there's more content than what is in the Too Many Bones core box, especially with just the components. I mean, there's so many dice in this game. It's crazy. Yeah, let me know. Leave me a comment if you are new to the channel. Think about subscribing, and I will see you guys on the next one. Much love.